Remember the famous line from the movie A Few Good Men? Jack Nicholson's character, after being drilled by Tom Cruise's character to tell the truth, finally shouts out, "The truth? You can't handle the truth." It's a great line, but one that I believe is not entirely true. You see, I believe we can handle the truth. We need to know the truth. It's the lies and deception that we struggle with. Hiding, softening, or lying about the truth is not the way we love someone. John Ortberg told some interesting stories about truth and love. He said, imagine picking up your car from the shop after a routine tune-up, and the technician says, "This car is in great shape. Clearly you're an automotive genius to take such great care of your car." Later that day, your brakes don't work. You find out you were out of brake fluid. You could have died. So you go back to the shop and you say, "Why didn't you tell me?" And the technician replies, "Well, I didn't want to make you feel bad. Plus, to be honest, I was afraid you might get upset with me. I want this to be a safe place where you feel loved and accepted." You'd be furious, wouldn't you? You'd say, "I did not come here for a little fantasy-based ego boost. When it comes to my car, I want the truth." Or imagine going to the doctor's office for a checkup. The doctor says to you, "You're a magnificent physical specimen. You have the body of an Olympian. You are to be congratulated." Later that day, while climbing the stairs, your heart gives out. You find out later your arteries are so clogged that you were like one jelly donut away from the Grim Reaper. So you go back to the doctor and you say, "Why didn't you tell me?" The doctor says, "Well, I knew your body is in worse shape than the Pillsbury Doughboy, but if I tell people stuff like that, they get kind of offended. It's kind of bad for business. They don't come back. I want this to be a safe place where you feel loved and accepted." Again, you'd be furious, wouldn't you? You'd say to the doctor, "When it comes to my body, I want the truth." Obviously, when something matters to us, we don't want an illusion. We don't want false comfort based on pain avoidance. We want the truth. Except when it comes to me. When it comes to me, I'm not sure I want the truth. Winston Churchill wrote, "Men occasionally stumble on the truth, but most of them pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing had happened." It's like I hear a lot over the years. Someone comes to me after a sermon and says, "You stepped on my toes." And I want to say, "I don't want to step on your toes. Get your toes out of the way." The question is, how much does your soul matter to you? Really? One more scenario. Imagine going to a church where you hear, "Don't worry if you mismanage your anger. Nobody here will confront you on that because we don't like conflict. Don't worry if you hoard lots of money. Lots of us have lots of money, but we'll never ask you to give because then some people might get mad and leave. Don't worry if you're passive in the face of injustice. We prefer passivity. We might talk occasionally about sin, especially sin out there, but nobody here will talk to you about your sin because then we wouldn't feel good." The goal is to walk out of this church feeling good. Of course, transformation involves grace. Now, we all love grace. We love to hear about grace. We love to get books and hear messages about grace. The danger is we can misunderstand grace and start to worship feeling good instead of actually worshiping Jesus, about whom we're told by John, "We beheld his glory, the glory of the one and only Son of the Father, full of grace and truth." We need truth. 2 John has the fewest verses of any book in the Bible. There's only 13 verses in the whole book. Some say this letter is is more of a postcard than a letter. I kind of like that. A postcard instead of a letter. And I like that because it appeals to today's social media world, doesn't it? Where places limit the number of characters you can type. John's second letter kind of fits right in there. Some say this short burst we experience today destroys our attention span and causes us to think shallow or only a surface interest. Now there's some truth to that too, but may I suggest brevity can be effective and powerful. When you have to make it a short message, a writer has to focus and choose words carefully and be ruthless in editing, but it can be done. And not only can it be important, it can be memorable. Remember Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address? It was only 272 words long and just had 10 sentences. He was not even the featured speaker at the ceremony commemorating the battle. Yet when we hear 77 years ago, we know the reference, don't we? But we do not recall what the featured speaker, Edward Everett, said in his 2-hour address. So listen this morning as I read 2 John and see what memorable things John had to say in this postcard. 2 John, beginning at verse 1. The elder, to the lady chosen by God and to her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth which lives in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love. It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I am not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another, and this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. And you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. I say this because many deceivers who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh have gone out into the world. Any such person is the deceiver and the Antichrist. Watch out that you do not lose what we have worked for, but that you may be rewarded fully. Anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teaching of Christ does not have God. Whoever continues in the teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not take them into your house or welcome them. Anyone who welcomes them shares in their wicked work. I will have much to write to you, but I do not want to use paper and ink. Instead, I hope to visit you and talk with you face to face, so that our joy may be complete. The children of your sister, who is chosen by God, send their greetings. Now, John addresses himself as the elder here, and scholars often debate whether that means he held that office in the church or if it's just a reflection on his age. His letters are certainly pastoral, which is what the role of an elder is, but John was already an apostle. In fact, he's the last apostle still alive. Some even go as far as to suggest he was even the last contemporary still alive who actually saw and talked to Jesus. Regardless, after a lifetime of service and teaching, John wants to remind his friends of what's most important. The Greek word translated lady chosen, or as older translations interpret it, elect lady, is actually a female proper name, Kyria. Many commentators use lady chosen or elect lady as a euphemism for the church. I think the reason they want to do that because Kyria is the feminine form of Kurios, which means Lord. And anyone other than God, especially a female Lord, was not heard of in the early church or mentioned anywhere else in Scripture. So to avoid the controversy a female Lord might bring, they changed who John is writing to from a friend to the church. However, I think it's best to translate lady chosen as the name of a Christian woman, Kyria, instead of the church. It could well be that Kyria's parents named her that because they saw her as their little princess. That would not be uncommon. It's not uncommon today. For instance, Tabitha means gazelle, but it was also the name of a woman Peter raised from the dead in Acts chapter 9, and not a reference to an animal. Toward the end of the first century, a new theology developed in the church, commonly today called Gnosticism. It was named after its founder, and it taught that Jesus never really came in human form. They taught that the stories of Jesus, although they're good moral stories with valuable lessons for us to live by, were just that, stories. The Gnostics were deceiving people by watering down the gospel and making it a nice myth. It was because of these deceivers that John wrote this short note. He calls those who deny that Jesus came in the flesh not only deceivers, he calls them the Antichrist as well. Interestingly, today when we hear the word Antichrist, we think about one individual who will come just before Jesus returns. However, John actually was the one who coined that word, Antichrist, and he coined it in his letters, and he's the only one in the Bible who actually uses the word. Jesus never called anybody Antichrist, he called them false prophets. Paul never called anybody Antichrist, he called him the man of lawlessness. And even later on, John in his Revelation does not talk specifically about the Antichrist, he talks about the beast. You see, it wasn't really until the mid-4th century that the word Antichrist was used primarily for one person who would wreak havoc prior to Jesus' return. For the first few centuries, the word was always plural, Antichrist, talking about anyone who would oppose Jesus. Now, verse 9 of 2 John has often been misunderstood. Look at it again. Verse 9. Anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teaching of Christ does not have God. Whoever continues in the teaching has both the Father and the Son. The phrase runs ahead is in the original is one word that means to take the lead or to move ahead. It is in the present tense. And that means it suggests a persistent movement, a continually moving ahead, a continually going forward. In context, it is a persistent movement, but in the wrong direction. Does not continue is better translated in older versions that say abides not, because the idea here is it reflects the negative side of changing or doing something different. To go forward is to not remain within the prescribed boundary. Here's the misunderstanding. John is not necessarily talking about church discipline here, even though that may be part of it. Nor is he saying if the church does things differently in their service or even in their teachings to shun them. And he's definitely not talking about avoiding non-Christians because they are our mission field. Back in verse 5, John wrote, "And now, dear lady, I'm not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another." You see, that's the key of what John's saying here. Love one another. If we love someone, we will help them, and we will share the good news. And if they're wrong, we will say, "You're doing this wrong. Let me help you out here." How would the church be different today if instead of demanding our way and simply name-calling those who are different or calling them out, we would love one another and help each other and encourage each other? Remember back in the book of Acts, when Apollos was preaching originally, and Aquila and Priscilla saw that he wasn't quite teaching it correctly, they didn't start condemning him. They didn't start bad-mouthing him. They didn't try to start talking and try to talk and say things that what he was saying was wrong. Rather, they took him aside. They taught him more perfectly. They showed love to him. Truth and love should walk hand in hand. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. We usually go to one extreme or the other because we've mistaken ideas, thinking that truth equals blunt, unedited speech that lets the chips fall where they may. And we view love as some kind of misty-eyed, sentimental attitude that only wants to please and accommodate others. 2 John verse 6 is the missing ingredient. I think it's the key verse in the whole letter. He said, "And this is love, that we walk in obedience to His commands. As you have heard from the beginning, His command is that you walk in love." I find it very interesting that in talking about obedience, John does not talk about doctrine or church policy or even morality and doing things the right way. Instead, John sums up everything we are to do by simply telling us to walk in love. If we do that, we are obeying God's commands. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15, Paul tells us how to speak the truth in love. Unfortunately, that is how we normally do it. This is how we normally do it. Not the way Paul says it, we do it this way. We see destructive patterns in somebody, but then we don't say anything because we don't want to upset people. Then that person will do something that really makes us mad, and all of a sudden we'll unload our entire stockpile of ammunition against them. But Paul did not tell us speaking the truth in self-righteous indignation. He said speak the truth in love. Some people are a little too eager to just speak the truth. They do truth speaking as a sport or a game. But there is no love. Charlie and Martha Shedd were wonderful writers and teachers on Christian marriage. They had a relationship where they were deeply open and honest with each other, but always in the context of love. They never said things which they would regret later. Charlie said the single most memorable letter he ever got from Martha was when they were in the middle of a big fight. And she wrote, "Dear Charlie, I hate you. Love, Martha." Now you see, that's speaking the truth in love, isn't it? She was expressing how she felt, but also how she still loved him. She cared about him. Now, let's get practical this morning by considering a real-life communication issue. Like when you send an email. You know, if you're mad at somebody, if thinking about them makes your blood boil, is email really the best form of Christ-like communication? Researchers are doing work now on the damage in communities caused by what are called flaming emails. Whenever you send an email, you're not looking the other person in the face. Or when you text them, you're not looking at someone else in the face. You just rehearse the anger in your brain. And levels of sarcasm, hostility, contempt, and judgment get expressed in ways you would never do in the presence of a real person. Now, I love to text. It's an easy form of communication. You can do it without much commitment. But there's a danger there. Because you will say things in a text or an email that you would not say in person. And then you hit the send button. And it can go anywhere. And it will last forever. I've seen chains of emails and texts between Christian brothers and sisters where they're writing about somebody else they disagree with, theologically or spiritually or culturally or politically. But what comes out is not simply disagreement, but a level of contempt that's just jaw-dropping. So we have to ask ourselves, would I want Jesus to read that email or text? Let's not write any emails or texts we wouldn't want Jesus to read, because he'll read them all anyway. We can know how Jesus would text. One of his most famous teachings is the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So, could we agree to the Golden Rule of texting and emailing? Text or email unto others as you would have them text or email unto you. Don't speak the truth in self-righteous, judgmental, sarcastic ways. that give the evil one a toehold on your soul or on this community. See, I desperately need you, and you desperately need me. That's how God made us. So why are we trying so hard to deny and destroy that God-given need? Why do we break into separate camps, and everyone who's not a member in good standing in our camp becomes the enemy that at best we ignore and at worst we try to destroy? Remember what Jesus said? He said in Matthew chapter 5, "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." And the point of John's second letter is clear. Walk in love. If